We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Shaunak Roy, who is founder and CEO of a company known as Yellow Dig. What is Yellow Dig? What are you guys doing different? What are you fixing?
50% of the students who sign up for colleges in the U.S. do not graduate, which is a big problem, and we are fixing that. Yellow Dig is a social learning platform that brings in the students into the learning process and kind of turns away from instructor-driven models.
So I'm learning from not only the instructors, but I'm also learning from my peers, with my peers.
That's right.
Huh. Where you from originally?
India.
And how many brothers and sisters?
I have an older sister.
You have an older sister. How young were you when you came to the United States?
I think I was 26 years old.
You were 25, 26 years old. Okay. Shannon.
So you created a social learning platform. When you were in India, was education something that you loved back then?
Education in India is highly valued. The reason is, I grew up in a middle-class family, and one of the ways we could kind of get, reach our potential is getting to a good college. You asked me about whether I really liked it. Honestly, I hated going to classes. I remember my dad, who was a pretty strong personality. He would make sure that I'm getting good grades in school, and I would somehow make sure that I'm getting good grades without going to classes. So I would always be the backbencher. I'll do my assignments right before it's due and just get what I needed to do.
So what are you doing at Yellow Dig to make education more enjoyable?
I think we are trying to make it a lot more fun in simple ways, which is, we live in a world which is very kind of dynamic, and our education system is probably like 3-4 decades old.
Alexa?
Earlier in the green room, you mentioned going to school was painful, and you were just kind of telling us a little bit about that as well. Now, can you tell me more and why you feel that way today?
Well, if you think about an average kid, and I was an average kid, if you go sit in a classroom, all that happens is that somebody will stand up in front of you and talk for like 45 minutes, and then you're kind of given handouts. It's very boring, and I used to wonder, like, I'll do sketching, I'll think about things, I'll kind of do my creative projects in my classrooms, and probably won't listen half of the things that are being said. So I feel that that's a big problem, and I thought that maybe if I fix something, it's worth fixing.
Kate?
Now tell me a little bit more about when you were growing up and you had to be studying all the time. What kind of friendships did you have, and what did you form? What kind of social life?
I'm glad you asked that question. So it's very interesting. If I look back, I almost had like two groups of people, or two groups of friends. One group of friends was those guys who would probably won't go to classes like me and probably hang out all the time in the fields, enjoy and have fun and learn from each other in various different ways. And I had another group of friends who were very serious to go to the best colleges possible, study all the time, and I was good friends with them. They were nice. I learned a ton from them.
So how did those two peer groups deal and work with your new current company? How did that teach you?
In some ways.
How did they influence? How did those two diverse groups go ahead and coalesce into this business model?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, there is no direct answer to this, but the way I would say this is,
yes, there is, because you like to hang out with people, just like you like to you like to learn from peers, and that's what you've integrated into this model.
That's right. So I would say, in Yellow Dig, what we are trying to do is to connect people. And if you connect the whole class in a natural way, you will learn from people who are very
that
kind of
comes
focused.
right from your childhood, because on one hand you had the focus kids, but you also liked learning and hanging out with your peers. Who's got the next question?
What'd you do for fun when you were a kid, Shaunak?
So my dad had a small business. He owned a small manufacturing workshop, and he was making small parts for cars, various kind of battery-operated small cars. So I'll kind of go hang in his workshop and kind of look at stuff and, see how they're making small parts and what it goes into designing, engineering systems, and sometimes kind of create my own things.
So when you were a kid, you were already taking things apart and rebuilding them and things like that?
That was kind of my passion.
And did you do that with your father?
I did, yeah. I mean, he was, I'll hang out in his workshop all the time.
Did he help you on the things you were doing?
He actually did. I mean, his background, interestingly, he's not a trained engineer.
Wait. So you were taking things apart and putting them back together again in a different way. Isn't that exactly what you're doing with this business?
I guess I'm a builder.
So you took a look at the current system and you figured out how to put it back together again a different way, a better way. That's fascinating to me. Kayla?
Yeah, we just talked about your dad and how he influenced you, but what did you bring from mom to work with you every day?
So my mom was the homemaker, and she's still the homemaker, and she is very nurturing, and she would always make sure that with all the craziness that sometimes will go on with a family of a small business, that everything is calm and nice. I think I got that personality. My personality, if people know me, I mean, I'm pretty easygoing. That's what I got from my mom. My mom is always the kind of creating the right environment for the right things to happen.
That's what you're doing with your business model also. Alexa?
So, how young were you when you started seeing a better way to do things? You mentioned, with your dad and putting things together.
Yes. So what I would do, I remember with my dad, we will sometimes talk about business, and he had this small business going on, and we will talk about, okay, can we start this? Can we start that? And these will always be like creative discussions. I always wanted to build something, which was always my passion. I wanted to kind of, create something that would help other people. For education, I saw the pain because I hated it. And when I kind of talk to more people, I kind of now know that most people hate.
Wait.
what
So
they go
you
through.
came to the United States. Did you come here with the idea of building a business, starting a business?
Well, that's an interesting question. So when I came from my master's in the U.S., but I started my second company when I was doing my master's.
So you came to the U.S. and you had the guts and the courage to start a business, to start from scratch when you came here?
That's right. So interestingly, I kind of luckily got some scholarship. So I was kind of supporting myself and not kind of taking too much of loan. And over the summer, a lot of my peers actually went for the best, kind of internships in big banks and consulting companies. And I actually took a small loan from a bank and started a small company.
Wait a minute, wait. So, most businesses fail. Were you aware that most businesses fail when you went ahead and took a loan and could have gone into the negative as opposed to just getting a cushy job?
Yeah, I mean, it was a small loan.
Oh, but I get the point. Because you felt the pain when you were a kid and you like inventing and building things, you didn't have any other route to go but to go ahead and start a business, an entrepreneur, and figure out a better way to do things, which is what your business model is all about. You like innovation, don't you?
That's right. Absolutely.
Do you ever see yourself retiring?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm
Why not?
having fun.
Why don't you think you see yourself retiring?
Well, I don't see myself going and working for somebody else right now. So
What-
as
what
long
do
as
you-
I keep on doing this, what I'm
What is
doing,
it you enjoy about business?
it's the freedom to create, also being responsible, to be making sure that it adds positive
You're going
value.
to be doing that the rest of your life, huh?
I hope so.
You hope so. I thought the name of the game was make a lot of money and go to Florida.
Well, I might do that as well, but we'll see.
Next question. Who's got it?
Shaunak, earlier you mentioned you have 2 kids. How old are they?
So I have a 5-year and a 10-year.
And what have you learned from them that has helped make you a better founder and CEO of Yellow Dig?
Well, my kids, one thing I'm passionate about is what I'm building. I hope my kids actually use that someday.
No. What you were asked is, what did you learn from them that's helped you build the business?
Honestly, okay, so when I started the company, it's been about 5 years. My second daughter was just born. So one thing I knew is that whatever I do, I got to be very serious about it, because I didn't want to fail because I had a family to take care of. So that I think I was more responsible
Kate,
as a
what are you
parent.
picking up?
I was just thinking of the actual name of the company when he was.
Yeah, why'd you
talking
name the
about
company?
that.
Why
why
are you
did
calling it Yellow Dig?
So the color yellow means cheerfulness and fun. And when I started the company, I quite didn't know how it's going to all shape up, but I always wanted to make sure that the impact should be fun. And I'm glad that we are doing it now.
Because learning should be fun.
Learning should be fun, yes.
Shaunak, you told us before you started another business in college, right?
That's right.
Why didn't you use the money from that to start Yellow Dig?
I wish I made some money there. I mean, I almost broke even.
Wait, you mean that one wasn't successful?
It wasn't.
But what did you learn from that process?
What I learned was that building a business is more than a product. So in that, it was I was in doing a master's program. We had a beautiful product, but honestly, we didn't have the strategies in place to kind of take it to a company.
What's the website address for Yellow Dig?
It's yellow YELLOWDIG.com.
Let me have that one more time.
Yellow Dig, YELLOWDIG.com.
We've been speaking with Shaunak Roy, founder and CEO of Yellow Dig here on Executive Leaders Radio. We will be back in a moment right after this break.